Welcome to the Jay Franzi Show, your source for the latest news, reviews, and interviews, with insights you can't pay for and stories you've never heard.
Just so I could piss right next to Tom Petty.
Garth turned out to be the most loyal artist of all time.
Smoked weed with Willie.
That was the most surreal, pinching moment.
So I knew I already had a strike against me.
Now, here's your host, Jay Franzi.
And we are coming at you live. I am Jay Franzi, and if you are new to the show, this is your source for the latest news, reviews, and interviews. And if you would like to join in, comment, or fire off any questions, please head over to jayfranzi.com. All right, my friends, tonight we have a very special guest with us. I said it once, I will say it again. We have a very special guest with us. We have a renowned musician. Hailing from the great state of New York, we have Les Janssen. Les, my friend, thank you for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you here tonight, sir. I want to jump in. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but first and foremost, I need to know, how did ice cream after dinner become a tradition?
Oh, it just came that way. How'd you find out about that? Yeah, me and I'm involved with Michael Kelly Guitars, and the guy who runs Michael Kelly Guitars basically starts it, and every time we go to NAMM or a dinner, whatever, it's always like, order that one scoop of ice cream at the end. And meanwhile, everybody's eating it, and the person, him who actually started it, has this one little half scoop and done. We're looking at him like, okay. There's just a tradition thing. We go to NAMM and that one little scoop of ice cream at the end, and that's it.
Nice. Any particular flavor?
Oh, vanilla.
All right. What was it like playing at Daryl's house?
It was interesting. So he wasn't there, but the production is amazing. Amazing. We go to places and, we cross our fingers if it's going to sound good or not. The guy who runs it, the board and everything, he's actually Daryl Hall's sound guy. So whatever he's doing is good. Piece of cake. Nice place. If anybody, lives by there, go check out a show. I know I'll be back there soon. It's a great place. Anywhere you sit in the place, it sounds good.
Well, I'm assuming because it's his place and he put a lot of time and effort into it that they probably dialed it in and not much changes from night to night as far as production goes.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, no matter where you sit in that place, you could be against the wall or corner. They got it figured out.
I used to love watching that show. I don't know if he still does any of it, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
Sometimes they do like a little YouTube blur, but the show on, I guess it's Access, I think it is, hasn't had a new episode in a while.
So let's talk about you, sir. You are a bass player. I would like to say I'm a bass player, but I am not a bass player. I'm somebody who owns a bass and knows what to do with it, but I just can't get my fingers to do it. So how long have you been playing bass?
Oh, geez. I've basically almost been playing since I'm a toddler.
Oh, really?
Well, not that long, not that young. Probably like 8 years old. I was lucky enough to grow in kind of a music household. My dad had some success back in the 60s, early 70s with a band called New York City Boys and then the Emeralds. They were all like back when it was like everybody sang. It was more vocal orientated and stuff. And, he had the same thing where one of the bands, I forget which one it was, it almost got to the table, signed, and at the end, something happened. But anyway, so my dad was a musician. He was a bass player and a guitar player. But funny story about that is Chuck Berry, he didn't have a band. He used to go into towns and call off the local musicians. So when my father, when he lived with his parents at the time, Chuck called the house looking for him. He says, yo, the same name as me. Yo, Lester, are you available? You got a drummer. So my father got his friend drum, and they would play every time with him when he came into the tri-state area.
That's got to be pretty cool.
So leading off of that, they used to have band practice in the living room. I used to come home from school. There was a little Hofner bass, and I used to go play the strings. And my first song I ever learned was Living in the City by Stevie Wonder, because it was the top string, an E string. I used to hit it, and that got me hooked.
A Hofner bass. You remember what model it was?
Oh, it was the Beetle bass.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I still got it.
Do you really?
19, what I think it was the 1964 version of it. Yeah, you can't play it anymore. It's too delicate.
That's going to be pretty cool. I mean, I know you're sitting in a studio right now with about 15 of them beside you. So I also know you're endorsed, but what model's your favorite at this point?
Oh, well, right now, the company that I'm with, Michael Kelly, the bass that I designed with them is a accumulation of like all the basses I played over the years. I like to cater to the musicians, especially bass players. We cater to the guitar players too. We're equal opportunists, but on my end, being a bass player, I like to lean towards the bass playing.
Right.
I do a lot of fly out gigs, and I've used to fly out with basses that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And I fear when I go to oversized picking up my luggage that it's gonna be in pieces. So bass I got, it's a good price point. I took all the characteristics, all the points from all the basses that I like, and I put it all in one.
Well, let's talk about some of the characteristics.
Basically, this is it over here.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Looks is one thing, but the neck feels great. The bridge has ultimate control. The pickups, you can configure them any way you want. They got 2 coils per pickup, so you can do like split them 1 and 1 or 2 and 1. You can do all this other configuration.
Are they Bartolini's?
They look like Bartolini's, but they're not. They're too expensive for us to put in here because they do whatever. But overseas, we got our own pickups that we use just for ourselves. And the action is great. But the biggest thing is when you go to like these, you go to if you ever went to NAMM or anybody goes into the music stores, you go to the bass guitars and there's always a big space over here. That's not how the high-end basses go. You'll never see a high-end bass. It's a very inexpensive way to make it. So I basically have this sunk into the pocket with an angle. Now, when you do the angle, it brings the strings closer to the body and you're not just fluttering under and getting lost. Feels a lot better. So it's just those little stupid things that don't cost extra money. It's just extra design points that make it play and sound better.
Nice. What kind of fretboard is it?
An ebony type. We can't use ebony anymore, but it's an ebony type.
So same feel, same texture.
Same feel. It's got. I can't see now, but these are glow dots. I can't tell you how much that helps. We're on stage, lights go out, and now the drummer's counting in the next song. I'm like, where's my hand?
I can imagine, right? What kind of strings do you play?
Right now I'm doing DRs. DRs, 125 on the B and 45 on the G.
All right.
Yeah.
And you are known for playing 5-string. Is that traditionally what you play?
Basically, yeah. I didn't start on 5-string, but...
No, you started on 1.
Yeah, I started on 1, an E string. Yeah, I mean, just one day, I grew up in the household with Led Zeppelin and Cream, and I did that whole 70s thing and listening to my father's band and listening to the radio. But ultimately, when I hit 13 is when I actually started joining with friends. It was a funny story. One of my first drummers I had was Stephen Baldwin, because I grew up in Massapequa, and that's where the Baldwins are from.
Right.
And he actually was in the band for like 2 rehearsals. It was funny. But anyway, back then, grew up, everybody was playing Kiss. It was the easiest thing to learn. And then after we got out of the Kiss phase, we were doing Rush. And let me tell you something. Rush was like the perfect music to go to school with. The only negative point is, for me, I noticed when I got done doing all the Rush stuff and did the Rush tribute band and all that other stuff, it was time to get back into rock and roll. Went back into rock and roll. I had to do a whole other shift changeover to get that feel again. And there's nothing wrong with, the Rush thing. It's great. But with me, I had to retrain myself school-wise. But let me tell you something. It's good that I had those tools. the tools from Rush, the tools from the 70s rock, and the tools from the new rock, put them all together. That's what got me going.
I mean, I know it's probably a combination of all, but do you have any preference on what you like to play?
I'll play anything. I just nothing incredibly heavy. Nothing too heavy.
So I didn't know if you like enjoy combining those styles or if you preferred playing one over the other.
Kind of like combining, but I do feel growing up on the basics and then getting the technical from the Rush and then putting it all together for the music after that was like, I think, a perfect storm.
Now, my favorite band growing up was the band Journey, and I know you have a lot of connections to Journey music. So
I have a little.
Little. But you have the connections. And Journey's music was always commercial music, your basic pop rock music. But it was much more technical than that as far as the players go. The players were extremely talented musicians.
Oh, yeah.
So do you feel like playing in those scenarios combines that basic rock and that Rush stuff that we were just talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel like that is what makes that such a good fit for you?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm not sorry. I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to experience all those different genres.
Yeah, I think it's led you to where you are, and I think it's what's given you the ability to play like you do and to play the type of music you play now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't really give lessons when I was younger because I was just too busy out performing. But I used to give tips and hints to the kids coming up, especially that there's now School of Rock. Mm-hmm. I run into those kids all the time, and they ask me questions, and I always tell them the biggest things. And this is what was taught to me. I went to Five Towns College, which is a music college over here, so something like Berkeley. And I had a renowned teacher, which is called Joe Carbone. If people out there hear the name, he's famous. Anyway, he taught me, do not become a pattern player. You become a pattern player, it's a curse. You just learn the basics, learn the feel, learn how to play music. Don't learn how to play a pattern. But I basically tell the kids, be open-minded and don't have tunnel vision on your music, because then you'll get caught in a rut, and then you're in that music rut.
So do you have any examples of when you may have applied that lesson?
Oh, geez. That's a hard one. I don't know. There's so many instances.
Well, is there any band that forces you to play outside of the box?
There were so many bands. I'll tell you one band that was very interesting. I did some shows with Randy Jackson from Zebra. Mm-hmm. And he contacted me. He wasn't doing Zebra shows. He was doing the Randy Jackson band, and he wanted a bass player for it. So it's all right, no problem. And he gives me these songs to learn, and we did a couple of the classics, but then he was doing stuff purposely that Zebra doesn't do. They were great songs. I mean, beautiful songs, but they were a little out of my wheelhouse at the time, and I was loving it. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to have to take my skills, learn the songs, and done. And sure enough, I had to go to NAMM, so I brought a bass with me. And at night at NAMM, I was going over all the songs because I only had like 10 days to get the stuff down, and I still had to work at NAMM at the booth and do all my appearances there.
You mentioned NAMM a couple times. I don't think people understand just how big NAMM is and what's involved in it. You say you were working a booth, and that's because you're sponsored by Michael Kelly.
Yeah.
And you go there to represent their product.
Correct.
So when you're there, do you actually do full performances in the booth, or are you just signing and talking?
A little of both, signing and talking, and then we'll get the guitar and bass and we'll plug it in and we'll start playing and jamming. And then at night there's performances all over the place. The last one, I just performed with Randy Jackson, the drummer from Zebra, and a couple other cats. They have the ultimate jam that everybody gets together, famous people. So I forget what the theme of the night was, but we did one Zeppelin song. We did Kashmir.
Oh, nice song.
It was a fun song.
Yeah. You being a bass player, do you find that other bass players gravitate towards your booth and want to see what you've got going on? Like, for example, Victor Wooten.
Yeah, he does. He does. Michael Kelly is under what's called the umbrella corporation of Samson, which used to be, it's Sam Ash, but Sam Ash is not around anymore. Samson is Michael Kelly, Harkey, and Samson Electronics. So at our booth, we have Harkey. So he's always coming over, hanging out, because he's a Harkey endorsee. But the basses that we've given him some of the basses, he likes them, but he's an endorsee of another company.
I'm just curious, like when you guys get together, that if you're swapping war stories or that type of thing.
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on how many drinks sometimes people have.
Nice.
It's all a good party.
Of course. And, I mean, those are great guys. All those players that come in and out of the NAMM show are always great people. I always love seeing them. All right, we mentioned briefly that you have connection to Journey music and you play in a band called Voyage. Can you tell me how that came about?
Well, I have been playing a lot with them. I'm actually technically the sub. Greg Smith is the main bass player. Right now, I'm concentrating more of my time over with Steve Augieri.
Again, another connection to Journey.
Right, who was actually in the band.
Right, he was in the band. He was one of the replacements after Steve Perry.
Right.
So how did that connection come about?
Really, to describe the whole connection from the beginning is, there was a tribute band called Evolution that I was in, which was with Hugo Valente, Adam Holland, which is in the Steve Augieri band, another guy, Mike Morales, and Lance Millard, the keyboard player who's in Voyage. So I feel Evolution was like the super group at the time. We sounded great. We started out when there was really, the tribute field wasn't that well. So Evolution started, we played out, and every couple of months, the pay kept getting more, and the gigs kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, till finally we played, well, we were doing the Versace Mansion, Google hired us, and it was ridiculous. And then one day there was an offer to play some concert out in Rutherford, New Jersey at the MetLife in front of like 50,000 people. And we wound up doing it. It was supposed to be a surprise. We played in between, not important, but they were big bands. There were so many of them. So we were playing in between those big bands. And, we're a tribute band at the time. And sure enough, there's like 50,000 people there waiting. We go out there, and then we, this is okay to tell the story now because it's just so funny. We go out there. The first song we open up with is, I think, Separate Ways, and 50,000 people start like crashing the stage, and they think it's Journey. As we're going home, I'm looking at my phone, and at the time, I think it was like 2009, I had a Trio. It wasn't really an iPhone at the time, I don't think. And Rolling Stone magazine basically says, Journey reunites. Like, oh boy, okay.
That is funny.
That was interesting. The band got to its point that it got. Eventually, things split off and whatever. But Voyage was formed at the time. Hugo was in it, and many different players, and there was Evolution again. There was a whole mishmash. I eventually wound up subbing in Voyage for a lot of dates because Greg Smith is a very active bass player. He keeps very active in the field. And as far as Steve Augieri, back in like 2017, the bass player in that band I know very well. He was off doing some stuff, so I started like subbing for him, and then eventually Steve just brought me in the band full time, and that's basically where that's going to.
When you play with Steve, what music are you playing?
Basically all the Journey stuff. He has some solo stuff. I'm thinking, probably he'll wind up doing it with us again. We actually just started doing some of the songs off of Arrival, which was cool. Because I think he was on 3 albums, I believe. And Arrival was the one because I remember he sends out the set list. I'm like, oh, new songs.
So do you like it when there's a surprise like that, a new song come in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd rather have it that way when it comes in, because several times it's like, we're on our way to the gig, like, okay, we're going to add this song. We never did it before. Okay, so you just go over it at sound check.
Right. Playing with musicians of that level, it's probably much easier for you guys to do something like that than it would be the average band.
And plus also the connection with people,
So you talk about the connection and the music. Do you feel like playing with Steve is different than playing with the other two?
They all have their different styles. They do. I played with Pedro, who's in Voyage. Now I played with Hugo for years, and with Steve, and they all have their different styles. None bad.
Right, just different.
They're just different.
Any particular era of Journey that you prefer over another?
I don't know. I grew up on the 80s of that big Houston tour that they had.
Yeah, that was, 1983?
That was the big one. And then, the stuff that I like the stuff on Arrival, and we do Higher Place, which is a great song, because I'm able to use the low string on that one.
Nice. Thunderous.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was the first live concert on MTV, wasn't it? In 1983 was.
Oh yeah.
Live in Houston.
I didn't have a VHS, and I asked my friend, "You got to record it."
Right.
Got to record it.
I recorded it as well. Lord knows where that recording is, but I did record that. That was a great performance.
Now it's on YouTube. You can find it easy.
Right. Yeah. And I grew up in the 80s, so that was the time frame of Journey. I liked the Escape album, Frontiers. But now that I look back at it, I like the 70s stuff probably equally as much, if not more.
The Greg Raleigh days.
Yeah, Greg Raleigh was awesome.
Yeah, my first Journey song that I learned was well before Steve Perry. It was on the first record called Topaz.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that record was basically almost like a fusion Santana style.
Right. It's when they were more of a jam band than they were a commercial rock band.
Right. Yeah. I learned Topaz and I was like, wow, this is great. And then eventually, when years went on and they started doing more commercial stuff, just latched onto it.
Oh, yeah. No, I love it. Now, you've played with others as well. You've played with an Elton John tribute.
Yeah. The keyboard player in Voyage, who we played in Evolution together, he does the Elton John guy. You do Elton John tribute. In fact, we got a show this Wednesday coming up. Yeah, when we're not traveling, we fit these shows and do Elton John tribute. I do. I got this other woman. We do Joan Jett tribute.
Joan Jett.
Yeah. Because there's an original artist that I deal with sometimes. Play with T.C. Cross. She has a couple of records out there. She had some, success, and we're still doing it with her. So I told her, she's like, "Oh, I want to do a tribute thing." Well, yeah, do the Joan Jett. She's like Joan Jett clone.
It sounds awesome too. That's who you were at Daryl's house with.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I was at Daryl's house with the Joan Jett tribute, and just recently with the Elton John tribute.
Oh, pretty cool. Now, you say, when you're not on the road, you're able to play these gigs. So what's the road life like these days, and how often are you out?
It's spotty. I know right now a couple times a month we do the fly out stuff, and there's a lot of private stuff coming up. Just came back from Minnesota, did the Midsummer concert out there. For like 3 weeks, I got a bunch of local stuff. And then August, we have some privates with Steve Augieri. What's cool is the next private we're going to be playing with Lou Gramm and John Payne. That's going to be a cool show.
That would be a cool show.
Yeah, that's a cool show. Yeah, but down in Maryland. I think we're driving to that one, so I don't have to fly.
Speaking of flying, what's it like taking a private jet?
Actually took a private jet one time. I could tell the story on that. I did when I was with Voyage for a gig. What was it? I think it was like last year. We had to do 3 shows in a row, and when you do 3 shows in a row, it's tough getting from place to place. In fact, in that 2-week period, I counted. I did 8 flights in 2 weeks. But the story I'll tell you is the last week of us traveling, we did show number 1 of that week. We played it. We get to the hotel. It's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you get up. You take the first flight out, and you're lucky to get to the 1 o'clock load in and all the sound check stuff. So we do that 2 days in a row. The travel gods all have to be working together to make it work, and we got lucky. But for the 3rd show, we had to go to Texas, and the problem was it was a travel problem. I didn't know the technical aspect of it, but the time that we were ending our show, the flights were done. We couldn't catch a flight in time because we had to get out that night or something like that. So we were either going to do a bus, like one of those Provost buses, were going to be waiting for us and drive us overnight, or we were going to take one of those little, I forget what they call the planes, but they were like the jet planes, the small jet. So luckily enough, we get done. The Provost was like 8 hours out. We're like, oh, we're never going to make it. And then luckily, the plane was available, but we had to get there before a certain time because the airport closed, I think at like 11-ish or something like that. So we're scurrying over to the airport. We get into the plane, and it was like, this is crazy. We're like, this is like, where are we? So we get on this little plane. We could barely get all the gear in there. We had more gear than we needed. I think the pilot was nervous because we filled up the bathroom with more gear. So there was no using the bathroom. We had the bathroom full of gear, the aisles full of gear, everything. Oh, it was stuffed. I'm surprised the plane.
Did they check the weight limit?
We were over the weight limit. They still got the plane up, and we went there, and it was a 40-minute flight versus taking 8 hours there. So we made it. We made it. We would never have done commercial.
Now, when you fly like that, do you feel like you never want to go back to commercial?
Oh, absolutely.
I know, right? I said that too. I took a first-class flight for a job one day, and I was like, man, I never want to go back to sitting coach again. I'm sitting up here with leg room. I can put a chair back. I get food. I like this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just heard that we're going to be going to Chile to do some shows, and I just looked tonight on how long the flights were. It's like 12, 13 hours of flying. I was like, oh, I got to get a good seat.
All right. So do you like playing out of the country?
Yeah. Out of the country, I played Canada, Dominican Republic, and Chile's coming up, all that stuff. I haven't gone over the Europe. I mean, I've been to Europe for vacation, but I haven't played over there. I've had opportunities to play over in some of the festivals over there with some of my friends. It's just scheduling just never worked.
Now, you're known for being a live musician. Do you do any studio work?
I do. I have had a few people ask me to put some lines down, and since I got the studio at home, I can do remote. They can send me tracks. I can send it out to them. So,
I mean, you said you occasionally play with the girl from Joan Jett who does original music as well. So when you're in
Correct.
the studio, are you recording original music?
Yeah, we have some original music that we've been working on. I know before I joined her, she had like 3 albums. There is one that's online that we did called The Hangover. They had interest of it almost being used in the movie Hangover, but came close, but almost.
That would be cool. So you go in the studio, do you play the same bass, the same gear?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, maybe in the studio I'll bring out the bass that costs thousands of dollars just to mess around with it. I got them. I got to use them.
Right. I had a bass that was custom made that cost me about $5,000, and I didn't want to touch that one. It was an MTD, Michael Tobias.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he built an electric one for me and an acoustic one for me.
I had a Tobias. I had a couple of them, but I had one that I bought from a guy who was getting divorced. He was crying, getting rid of it. And it was serial number 555. At the time, I didn't know how much it was worth. I think I gave him like $3,000 at the time, or $2,000, whatever. I played it for a while. It was a 5-string. Situations in life arise, and I had to sell some things, so that was one of them I sold. And now I look back, and I was like, I want to find this bass again. Where is it? You'll never be able to find this bass like that again.
Right. And that was a Tobias?
Yeah, the traditional Tobias that was made, in the original factory, because now they sold the Gibson and the new aren't the same and all this other stuff. Serial number 555. So if anybody knows 555,
there,
call me.
So I went to his actual house, and I was living in upstate New York at the time, and I drove down to
the Catskills.
Yeah, I drove up to his house or down to his house, and he sat there and watched me play for a little while and said, "All right," and I said, "Whatever you think is best." So I sat down, I played, and he made me 2 instruments that he thought were best. And they were the most beautiful looking instruments ever. I didn't even want to touch them. But like you said, I got to a point in life and I sold them, and I would probably give anything to have them back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've met Mike a couple of times, hung out with him. He's a nice guy.
Oh, super nice.
Sweetest guy.
Yeah. And I play left-handed, so he had to build those left-handed for me.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, you're sitting in the studio. So what do you do with the studio you have at your place?
Mostly rehearsals here right now. Everything we do in ears. I just helped start this other tribute up, McVie and Miller Time, which is Christy McVie and Steve Miller. So I just got done putting all the backing tracks and just tracked the whole show, which is a nightmare scenario to do, but thank goodness I know how to do it, and I like the torture.
Right.
Hours and hours. Yeah, the studio, I mean, sometimes it sat here doing nothing, and I'm looking at it like, I think I've had a studio since I was like 18. I started out with a Tascam cassette 4-track and used to, play around with that. And I think 1992 or 91, I really got into it. My dad had a band. He started with all my friends. I don't know. They were sitting around a bar somewhere at his birthday, and they were joking, let's start a band. So we started a band called Tumble and Dice. Cool stuff. We wrote a couple originals. The point is, we wound up recording at a studio by us, and there was this producer called Brian McGee. Unless you're in the industry, you wouldn't know him. But Brian McGee, he wound up engineering and producing for like Lita Ford, Patti Smythe. But before that, he wound up being the engineer on a couple of Rolling Stone records, started up and stuff. So he has a street cred. So he was in the middle of not doing anything at the time. So he was available. So my dad ponied up some money and hired him for a week. Me and Brian, we hit it off really well. And I basically said to him, listen, I want to learn. Teach me. So he had this place that we're at, Cove City up in Long Island, North Shore. They bought this Neve studio from London. They had it brought in, and they had this little board that went across that you have to it wasn't digital. So you had this little piece of paper. You have to write down all the settings. So that was my job. So even after we were done, he said, listen, you want to come? I'll teach you. You want to apprentice? You have to write down all the settings on the board. So I apprenticed under him for a little bit while he was available and in town. I learned a lot. And I took all those skills, and that's why I built my studio the way I built it.
How often did you ever have to recall one of those sessions?
Oh, a few times.
Not a fun time, is it?
I got a hand cramp every time I had to.
Right.
Now today it's just you hit one button. Save.
Right. I like Neves for tracking music. I like SSLs for mixing music, but great preamps, just a great console, but there's a lot going on.
Oh, it's a great sounding console. We had two 24-track Studers, and what blew my mind for the first time, and people out there listening, when you splice tape, you have to be a genius. This guy, something happened on one of the recordings, and he's like, "Wait a second, I'll fix it." He takes and splices the tape, and he's listening, splices it, puts it back together, and plays it. I couldn't hear anything different. It was fixed.
Yep. It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Working with tape machines is a beast because, you have to align them, you have to prep them. There's a lot of work that goes into making a tape machine work. You don't just walk in and press play. What do you have in your studio now?
I'm using Universal Audio Apollos.
Mm-hmm.
I got two units that I use. I mean, I haven't hit the threshold limit. I've been up to like as many as like 64 channels. So I haven't hit the threshold yet. During COVID, I got bored and I wound up mail ordering pieces for a computer. So I made a monster powerful computer.
So you built your own?
Yeah, I had time.
Yeah.
I learned how to make a computer.
Nice. What was the biggest challenge doing that?
Putting the CPU in the board.
Oh, so you really built a computer?
Oh, yeah. No. I got the motherboard, no CPU. I wound up getting like one of the fastest Intel chips. And I had to wear like the anti-static bracelet so you don't hit it.
Right. Pop.
That was the worst day, putting the chip in that board.
Did you run into any compatibility issues at all throughout that process?
No. Luckily, I had a little bit of experience beforehand building stuff, but this was like a little above my pay grade, so I did a lot of investigation beforehand.
Yeah, I've built computers in the past, but never to that extent where I'm putting the processor in.
Yeah, I mean, I've bought in the past computers where they're called bone stock, where they'll have the case, the motherboard, and the chip in there, and all you got to do is just add some memory and a hard drive, whatever you want. That's how they used to sell them back in the day. But I was like, no, I'm going to make a monster. I want to build it once and that's it.
And are you still using the same one?
Yeah, still using the same one. It hasn't, no slowdown or anything.
Really? What's your DAW of choice?
Cubase.
Cubase. Okay. What is it you like about Cubase?
I've been using it for a while, and it integrates with a lot of the instruments, meaning the virtual instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. When I record the drums, I have real drums, but I don't have real drums in my studio anymore. I have electronic drum kit. So what I'll do is I'll record the electronic drums on one track, but on the MIDI track, I'm recording the MIDI. So when I go play back, I go into program Superior Drummer and I just track it all in there. But I don't do cymbals electronic. I actually use real cymbals when I record. So I got real cymbals, and I can just pick and choose whatever drum I want on Superior Drummer.
So you're playing real cymbals at the same time as the electronic kit.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I work for a producer in Nashville named Bob Bullock, but he's big on Nuendo, which is, brother to Cubase.
Right.
So we go in the studio and recorded in Nashville at all the big studios, and they all have Pro Tools. But we go back to his place, and when it came time to mix, he would mix in Nuendo. For whatever reason, he preferred it.
Yeah, I mean, if you threw me in front of the window, it's not that much of a learning curve. I could do it. I forget the differences because I have messed around with it, but I just know Cubase so well now.
Yeah, they're very similar. I mean, they're all very similar at this point, but I grew up on Pro Tools, so I've just been a Pro Tools person ever since. But I've used all of them at one point or another. And I used to teach at the college in Nashville, and Cubase was one of the ones we would teach specifically for the MIDI.
Yeah, I almost went the Pro Tools route because I started with DigiDesign. They had something called the Session 8, which was a Pro Tools derivative. It's like the younger brother to Pro Tools. It only did 8 tracks. That's it. Not expandable, not whatsoever. Right. And then I looked over at Pro Tools and I was like, oh, I got to buy the computer And then every time I want a new track, I got to buy another rack.
You got to buy more gear. You got to buy specific hardware.
Yep.
Now you can pretty much use anything you want, but then...
Oh, yeah. The computer, that's it. You don't need anything else.
All right, sir. Well, we do this thing here we call Unsung Heroes, where we take a moment to shine the light on somebody who's worked behind the scenes or somebody who may have supported you along the way. Do you have anybody you'd like to shine a little light on?
Oh. That's a hard one. There's so many people out there. I mean, it's just basically everybody out there, you know. That's going to be a difficult one. I don't think you'll get a name out of me. There's a lot of. I mean, basically all my close friends and stuff.
Yeah. Any particular mentor you ever looked up to?
Well, I know my dad was a big one. I think if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't even be in the music.
All right. Well, we have done it. We have reached the top of the hour, which does mean we have reached the end of the show. And if you've enjoyed the show, please tell a friend. And if you have not, well, tell two. You can reach out to both of us tonight over at jfranzi.com. We will keep this or any other conversation going. Sir, my friend, Les, cannot thank you enough for being here tonight. We would like to leave the final words to you.
I don't know. Keep it going. Rock on.
Rock on. Couldn't say it better myself. On that note, folks, have a good night. All right, well, time for a few shout-outs. First, let's go ahead and shout out High Mountain Breezes Music. They are right in the middle of finishing their next single. However, if you haven't had a chance to check out their current single, Cats in the Cradle, please do so. They did a very good job. I think you'll be impressed. VR Knives. Vaughn Ray. He is not only a rock star, he is a knife maker. And if you are in need of a knife, please check out VR Knives. The Mark Bottolato. Mark, sir, thank you for joining us each and every week. I truly do appreciate it. Miss Kathy, thank you for joining us. It makes my heart warm every time I see you here in the show. And the question of the day, James. James, sir, thank you for joining us. I truly appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all that you do to contribute to the show. If you would like a shout out here on the show, please go ahead and visit jfranzi.com/shoutout. All right, folks, on that note, have a good night.